I must be those things because this is what the world says I am. It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with how I got there and that I was trying to get help for it. Right. I found myself there. And that was one of the biggest struggles I had was all that shame around it. And that's a terrible thing because I have seen so many people that have, because of that and the labels and what we think, right, wrong, good, bad, blah, 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 give up instead of following through of peeling back the layers to why.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become their favorite versions of themselves and to strive for overall health by healing their relationship to food and exercise, healing their relationship to their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship to themselves, all without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time someone shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. But we've been talking about how seemingly simple things can be complicated. And can you re-say what you just said? We're just like throwing them right into this episode. Here we go. Boom, let's go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So,
Nice
everything
to
that you
meet
were
you, by the
saying,
way. Nice
nice
to
to
meet
meet
you.
you too. We started off great. We just we've been best friends for all of our lives,
Yeah.
and we were just shooting the shit. um, so what were we saying? We were saying, basically, the old school way of thinking is, oh, well, that's easy. Go ahead and do that one simple thing with those other simple things, and then do your job and your career and all those other things because you can.
Yeah.
But that is exactly the blueprint to crash, burn, you know,
That.
uh, I mean, pick a word, right? It's like you can't sustain that.
Yeah.
However, imagine we all allow ourselves and each other to be good at what we're good at, which allows other people to be good at what they're good at. And
Mm-hmm.
then we create together
Yeah.
for something even better.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. Wow.
Yeah. For context, listeners, I kind of I came in on this call like in one of those first I was waiting in the wrong Zoom room for her and thinking she was late
Yeah, she blamed it on me. She blamed it on me.
for 2 seconds. And then I was like, "Oh, fucking Katie, come on." And then I've been working on something that seems simple like, I'm going to give you this free thing for your email address so you can sign up for my weekly newsletter. Sounds easy, right? Or simple. If you're not techie, like I tell people all the time, I'm really good at what I do. I'm a really good coach. I'm a really good trainer, and I suck at the business crap because I'm not interested in that. There are people who are interested in that, and those are the people I want to hire to help me do that. Anyway, and I appreciate you so much for just letting me vomit my frustrations all over you as a complete stranger. But you
I
have this vibe. You instantly had this vibe. I was like, I think she can take it.
because I hear you loud and clear. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
Yeah. And then I went on the calendar to see what your specialty was. And I'm like, oh, living your best life. Right. That's what I'm trying to do right now with this stupid email. Anyway, I'm done.
But right, you I think the difference is an old way of being would to continue to ram your head into the wall or go, oh wait, I'm gonna hire somebody else to do that.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much in that too. When I think about that, for my own personal learning, um, I had to grip onto everything. I didn't know how to delegate. I didn't
Mm,
know how to. That's actually such a big thing. Um, to recognize that, like I said, I had to recognize that in myself. Like I didn't know how to delegate. Um, I didn't know what I was good at because I thought I had to be good at all of it.
mm, that piece right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Ouch.
I struggled asking. I've always had a hard time asking for help.
Yep.
And, you know, I felt like when I asked her for this help and she said, you can do it yourself, I'm like, oh, that's where I get that from.
Yeah.
That's why I have a hard time because I was a latchkey kid. I took care of myself. I mean, she was a single mom. So, she did what she could. And I'm so grateful for who she is. And I've been alone. I've spent a lot of time by myself, taking care of myself, doing
Yep.
everything, not asking for help. And so
Get it.
when I do reach out for help, as uncomfortable as it is, and then I get shut down, I'm like, oh, yep, that's why.
Mm.
So, just to go a little deeper into my story. Yeah, you were a latchkey kid too?
Yeah. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I used to boil water. So I always had boiling water in case somebody broke in, I could like throw hot water on.
Mm,
And I also I had this bed uh that my mom had brought over. I don't think we have them here, but you could lift it up and store all your stuff, like your bedding inside of it.
mm-hmm.
So I would take my Beasley, my stuffed animal, my dog, and I would get inside of my bed and I would close that up and I would have like hairspray and stuff with
Mm,
me. In case anybody broke in and I couldn't get to the boiling water, then I could spray them in the eye with hairspray.
yeah.
Good times. I
Oh
mean,
man.
at 10 though, I mean that's being pretty smart, right?
Yeah. I
Nine,
was
10 years
10
old.
too when that started. Was I 10? Yeah, I was 10. Um, when my parents first got divorced, I would go to my mom worked for like a boys and girls club. So we'd go there after school and then she got laid off, got another job and didn't couldn't afford babysitters. And so it was me and my brother was always off doing his own thing. He was the problem child. Um, so yeah, it was just me.
Yeah.
I learned how to make macaroni and cheese. I taught myself how to do my own laundry by putting one sock in a full load. Uh, oh man. Yeah, good times.
I just have this visual of, right? This is how we do it, one at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. What do these buttons do? Let me push some buttons.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep.
Yeah. But you know what? That creates the essence of who we are as adults. Like my whole work is showing people, like helping people see who they really are and figuring out what part of them that they think they are. Hold on, let me see if I can phrase this. We
Mm,
think we are this one person, and then we realize, oh, that's not who I really am. And this
yeah.
came from usually something in my childhood.
Yeah.
And then it became a belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um, do you find more and more people are um, okay or maybe accepting that it's okay to start investigating a little bit, like, you know, especially for people like ourselves that you can't tell me shit. I and for myself anyway, this part, like I didn't know that I was as like strong and strong-willed and like I didn't know how deep that went. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Because it's
Yeah.
it was like we needed it and used it to survive. Um, but when do you stop and snap out of that like survival, and
Yeah.
let go and go, oh wait, I guess I don't need that anymore. Let's do some with that. Do you see or find that more people are understanding of that and okay to see the other side to things?
I would say yes, because typically the people that are like new clients or whatever, they already know. So I help people heal their relationship to food, exercise, themselves, and their bodies. And usually they've already heard my message that the diet industry is bullshit. That's
Yeah,
I think it's a $75 billion industry now. And all they do is feed on insecurities and feed us things, like diets, like keto, for example. Oh, don't get me started. That's my that's my example. But they present it as this is truth, this is health, and it's all bullshit. Like the truth is, as individuals, we all have different DNA, we have different experiences, we have different
yeah,
traumas, and
yeah,
therefore each individual human is going to react differently to different foods, different ways of movement and exercise. Like we're all individuals. And
yeah.
so going back to your question, they're already starting to question, what have I learned that's not true?
Mm,
What have I learned as a truth that was just a lie to sell me a supplement, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so and what's interesting is so many are, they come to me because they want to get rid of all that. They want to be healthy. They want to do it through behaviors and not being obsessive over the scale.
yeah,
But a lot of like the body image issues come from their childhood of not feeling like they're enough
yeah,
unless they look a certain way.
yeah,
And so, long answer to your short question, yes, their minds are already open when they come to me.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Beautiful.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do see it myself. I mean, the shift that has happened, you know, um, is exciting,
Yeah.
you know, just in the awareness of, oh, okay, it's not just me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not alone in this, you know. I mean, in food, mental health, addictions, like, there's, the whole big old wherever we put our, our energy into. Oh God, I'll go off on one of my tangents now. I'm going to try to control
Please.
myself.
Oh, please do.
I just, it's just the messaging that we have all received when, I mean, think about this. You can have a line people up, listen to the same uh, show, podcast, speech, whatever, and everybody's going to hear it differently. Even though they hear it the
Mm-hmm.
same, they're all going to understand something in their own individual way, right? but we've been taught like quite the opposite. Like being an individual is going against the norm, the masses, and this is what we're trying to be. Is like if this diet is working for all these people, what's your effing problem?
Right.
Right. So it's like a trigger for all of us. It's like if I'm not following the majority and the norm, what's wrong with me? And think how big that is, because that's like it's insidious. um I don't even have the words for it, but it's like no wonder we all sooner or later end up in a place where we are dealing with mental health issues, addiction issues, in whatever form it is, you know. And that's exactly why we should, as individuals, stop to recognize, okay, good, it isn't just me. We all have been following this, and now is the time for the individual to recognize, to understand and heal and grow and thrive. And there's like a whole new life to be lived once we let go of like normal and average
Yeah.
and masses, you know?
Yeah. And it's so that kind of thinking that we're taught is so normalized that when we kind of start snapping out of it, so to speak, we're looked at like we're nuts. And
Yeah.
it's like I get it, but also go study human behavior and psychology and nutrition and movement and like all the stuff. Like it's so funny because all of that education is out there for the person who wants it,
Yeah.
but they would rather believe what Susie influencer says because she has a nice body according to what you think a nice body should look like. And
Yeah.
it's so crazy because, like I said, it's so normalized that when you snap out of it, you're the one people are like, "Oh, you're just giving up." Or you're letting yourself go. No, I am finally grasping myself for the first time in my life
Yeah.
and reconnecting my thoughts with my body rather than having the outside world tell me what I should be thinking and feeling and doing and what I should look like.
Yeah.
And we can still approach health with that in mind through our behaviors
Mm.
rather than you shouldn't eat carbs or you should weigh XYZ on the scale according to your height. BMI, that's another tangent I could go off on, but I won't.
I think we're tangent sisters. I love it.
Yeah,
I
especially
always,
today.
I always get the like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Because I have been known to yeah, when I get going, I get going. Because it's especially because I've thought that way anyway, then got my ass handed to me because I decided to dim my light to listen to what I was being told, to having to crash and burn in there and lose everything just to come full circle to what I knew to always to begin with.
Yeah.
Damn it. But that just proves my point even more. So I really can't shut up now.
Yeah. I mean, in this conversation, I want to mention like my story. I was in this place of I'm a trainer, I'm a nutritionist, and I'm fat. What the fuck is missing? What am I doing, And
Mm.
then one of my really good friends who didn't actually say it this way, but I tell the story this way. She goes, "Have you ever heard of intuitive eating?" And I was like, "No." And so hold on. I've never actually shown the book in the episode. Not an ad. This book changed my life. This book changed
Mm.
how I live my life. and it talks all about like reconnecting the mind and body. There's principles like ditching diet culture and stuff. But I wanted to show it because I just happen to have it right here. Um, Hold on, I had a thought and it went away. Oh, the interesting thing about this book, though, is it was originally written in 1995, but it's just now becoming popular because people are going, okay, what's missing? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that.
I mean, that's such a big thing though, too. It's like we're finally like understanding like there is no separation of like mind, body, spirit, like everything is connected. And if
Mm-hmm.
we're off in one place, it's eventually going to knock us off in other places. Like we have to do it all or we're sick in one way or
Yeah.
another. Something is going to fester up, whether it started emotional to physical or physical to emotional, whatever. It's eventually, if you don't see the whole and take care of the whole, it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah.
There's going to there I believe we're all like one more until we start doing the work to turn it around. We're all like one thing too many away from like snapping. or
Yeah.
or like breakdown, right? Because, and that's another thing, and this is one of my tangents. When you hear people like talk about like homeless people as if they are alien beings,
Yeah.
you know, or addicts, alcoholics, any of the addictions there are, right? Like they are some kind of subcategory of humans. It's like
Yeah.
we're all human beings, and this is where anybody can end up at any time, right? Until we decide to do our healing journeys, really,
Yeah.
in whatever that looks like for the individual, you know, because it's an individual journey, but as a human being, we can end up anywhere, you know. It like these I saw a commercial where was people somebody was being interviewed, or somebody was interviewing other people saying, so the question was like who gets addicted, and the response from one person was junkies. And that infuriates me like you don't even know, because think about that too. I've heard it coming from pharmaceutical companies that is the messaging, right? Um, and this is my own experience too. Doctor prescribed pain pills, till I like lost my marbles and went to street drugs because I just kind of gave it all up. But again, around this messaging again too, it's you don't think that can happen to you, right? If we have
Yeah.
this image of a junkie, what is a junkie? Who is that? Right? Here again, it's like this category of people that is separate from you. So again, here we go, not dealing with the human being, any human being that has one too many experiences that they know nothing about and find themselves in the middle of without the education to get themselves out. Because we've been programmed to think and believe in a way that actually doesn't even exist, isn't even real. But so many of us hold on to that, right? Because I know for myself too, I had that same, I find myself here, so I must be all these shameful, shame, guilt, all these ugly things. I must be those things because this is what the world says I am. It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with how I got there and that I was trying to get help for it. Right. I found myself there. And that was one of the biggest struggles I had was all that shame around it. And that's a terrible thing because I have seen so many people that have, because of that and the labels and what we think, right, wrong, good, bad, blah, 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 give up instead of following through of peeling back the layers to why.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that goes, I mean, I think just, it's not just like drug addiction, it's addiction to anything, right? It's like,
Mhm.
how did we get ourselves there? Why are we using that for to make ourselves feel better? Or what are we looking for in that?
Yeah. Or a void filler, I like to call it. What void are
There
we
you
trying
go.
to fill? What are we
Exactly.
missing that we're trying to use that to fill us up with? And
Right.
then unfortunately, there's substances out there that we use to do that, and they're addictive. So
Yes.
once addicted, even if you want to change, for some people, it seems like it's just impossible. Like they're never going to be able to get out of that cycle. And then, as you said, we put them in another alienated category because
Yeah.
they don't understand the experiences of that human.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's because I have seen, I mean, it was I've seen like the ugly come out of people with like a flick of a switch because I didn't look like a drug addict. Um, but when I told them I was,
Yeah.
I went to this place. So I was doing like all kinds of different modalities. Just a lot of stuff led up to, I mean, it wasn't just addiction. There was a lot of things that had happened up in it that led up to that. Um, and like I said, it started with like my doctor prescribed pain pills. They left placenta behind after my second pregnancy and just led to a lot of
Oh no.
complications, like one after another. Um, but in any case, I was going to this acupuncture place, and I had been there before, and then had decided, like, because I was a nervous wreck by this time because I had really seen people show up.
Mhm.
Like, the facade was one thing, but once you start talking addiction and drugs, they turned into a totally different person. It was the wildest experience ever, like to see who that person really was because I mean, it was like this,
Yeah.
just like that. So I'm at this acupuncture place. I'm like, okay, I'm going to share because I'm serious. I'm trying to get help and like traditional help for me at that time because I was still dealing with all kinds of health issues. I was in this cycle and I didn't know how to get out. Anyway, I'm at this place and I said, so um, this is what I'm doing, drug addiction, blah, blah, blah. And she starts literally like jabbing me with the acupuncture needles and says, you can't be doing that. And walks out and slams the door. And I'm just sitting there. And I just started bawling because I couldn't understand. Especially in that moment, I was so sick and lost and confused. I didn't know how I got to where I got to either. you know I mean, it would take me a while to understand like how I even got to the street drugs part. I mean, yeah, it started off with the doctor prescribed, but once I started digging, I started digging more and got into
Right.
childhood stuff that I didn't even know existed. um but really, all of that is besides the point. I was trying to get help for it, and even if I wasn't, to see how other human beings treat each other, it's like no effing wonder. Especially when you're in it, you feel like shit anyway. You
Yeah.
don't need that that outside influence. Like it's like feeling like shit for feeling like shit for feeling like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. And now I need your opinion on top of that too. Go ahead, have at it.
Yeah.
And it's like we perpetuate this um ugliness by thinking we're better than the person that is actually in need of help themselves.
Yeah.
It's like we have created this world that we try to separate ourselves from when we behave that way.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I got to where I got, but
No, this is good.
with
And also like adding the guilt and shame aspect to it. Typically, guilt and shame is done in isolation. And so that
mm,
it's like you're feeling guilt and shame for this thing. You're in isolation because of the guilt and shame. And then the people start looking at you and talking down to you, which makes you isolate even more.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
But throw them all in jail, right?
Oh,
Come on.
so we can treat them like animals. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Don't even get me going on that. I got another story.
Mm,
So there I was. I had a break, went to a mental institution, and I'm scared shitless. And I am up against the wall. And I remember I was trying to kind of be around more of the staff at that time. And I'm listening to a conversation. I don't know their exact roles in this place. I just know that they're staff. And one of them is telling the other person, so I'm going to lunch. I'm going to meet my mom, but she won't meet me here because she's still terrified of where I work. She won't even come around here. And I told her, I tell her all the time, just matter of fact, like, Mom, it's like going to the zoo. You know which cages you go into and which ones you stay out of. I mean, just like, and I thought about that. I'm like, oh my, where am I?
yeah.
I mean, this conversation was really just so no big deal. It doesn't matter who overhears me. Who is how are these people even here? They're scared, lost, sick, confused, need help, and you're having this loud ass conversation. Um, I mean, the way I saw it in comparison of animals in a zoo and being here, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, again, to me, a perfect example of how we perpetuate the ugliness in this world and how people end up in that place to begin with. If we are treating each other like this and you are that person, it doesn't matter where you work, right? Your
Yeah.
behavior is ugly no matter where you show up.
Yeah.
Think about that. And I remember too. I mean, I think I was not in a good place, but nobody was really hearing me. So I'm pretty sure I self-induced that break because in the beginning I was happy. It's like, okay, this is what I need. I need to be because I'm an ugly, scary, like pathetic monster, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the outside, what I'm hearing. So I need to be under lock and key 24/7 so people can watch me. I'm not going to get in the way. I can't go anywhere, right? This is exactly where I need to be. And then I found myself there. Holy shit,
Mhm.
get me out of here. And then think about that too. It's like, well, if you're going to these places, how come you're not fixed yet when you get out? Well, it's like you need help after getting the help.
Yep. Yeah, I've had this conversation with people who've been in abusive relationships. Like they think,
Mhm.
okay, I've gotten out of it. Yay. No, you're not done yet.
Yeah,
There's
you are
there's
not done.
residual shit that's living in your body that needs to come out. And I feel
Yes.
like it's kind of the same as what you're talking about. Like we don't just like trauma, 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 trauma. Yay, I'm out of the trauma. No. No.
Yeah. No. I mean, it
Yeah,
took me.
no. No, yeah.
There was a time where I was like, is this shit ever going to end? However, the one of the biggest, and I'm so grateful for this, is once I decided to not do the work for everybody else and what they thought and believed was wrong with me and how I should fix me, and I started doing the work for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I was actually able to see these things. I mean, because there was a time too where I would even say, like, please hear me. Like, what you're saying about me isn't true. Like, I am not these things that, right? But when you're in the middle of it, like, you can't advocate for yourself. Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you're a crazy drug addict. Shut your mouth. You have nothing, and that's scary in itself. And that's brings me to why I do what I do, because I would never want people to experience things like that. I mean, that
Yeah.
was my road, my journey, and I'm glad for it in the sense that I had to do that to get here. But um, you know, to those extremes, I would wish on no one. And actually, I would have to think about that a little more because again, what that was my journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, from hopeless, empty, lost, sick in every which way to thriving and limitless, really, because I've done the work.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have to go there to do this? What are the how far do we need to go? I mean, that I need to
Yeah.
think about that some more. But I don't know. I guess in all of that, it really doesn't matter what is going on in the outside world as long as you recognize and have the awareness that you yourself, the individual, needs to do whatever it takes for you. And it doesn't matter what the world at large is saying, what's good for you and what you need,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that's the work right there, right? Is to
Yeah.
acknowledge, like, okay, wait, I don't have to listen to that. I can listen to myself. This is weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know, but that's where it's at, you know?
I wanted to ask you when you were talking about like I don't remember the exact words you used, but you were saying they believe this about me and it's not true and I couldn't prove that to them. I know that's not the word you used, but do you think that when we find ourselves in that position where we just know we can't change anyone's mind about who we are and we know who we are, do you think that's could be a starting point for like a self-discovery journey? Did that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And so Hmm. So for myself in that situation, so yes to your for sure. But like for myself in that situation, it would still take me a while because I was being like heavily medicated.
Mm,
So and it's a whole like story in it in itself that I had been labeled and medicated and saying this medication, my behavior is due directly to this medication. Please stop medicating me. And so they would up the dosages. Um, so that is my own experience, right?
mm-hmm.
So I had to be far removed and off of those medications um, to even get any kind of footing and to be able to get the help that I
Right.
needed,
Yeah.
right? However, I think even when I had like small glimpses of any kind of reality, when I was in that, you know, in that, that is what I needed to later in my journey go, wait, remember how absurd all of this was? Like it didn't even make sense. Like hold on to that because you're going
Yeah.
to use that later, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I guess that is something, I mean, somewhat of a gift, right? For all
Yeah.
of us to go, wait a minute, enough already. That's not even me. That doesn't even like, right? But, you know, I guess what is that? What does it take? Like, how much shit do you have to hear before you go, wait a minute?
Yeah. Uh, I'm in a similar situation right now with, I mean, not similar situation, but like the ideas. Let me explain. So I've been taking care of my father for 10 years.
Mhm.
And he, in these 10 years, I've really figured out who he is. He's
Mm.
a narcissistic, pathological liar.
Mm.
He's not a bad
Oof.
guy. And I've spent a good portion of that 10 years trying to get him to spend time with us, trying to get him to watch movies with us, taking care of him, making him food, all the things. And he tells my siblings otherwise. And so
Mm.
my siblings have this view of me and the way I treat our father, which, by the way, if you're really that concerned, why don't you come help out? But so they have this way because he's going, they never hang out with me. I
Mm.
have to make my own dinner. It's really hard for me to stand up. All these things because he has to be the victim because that's the narcissism. Nothing's ever his fault. It's everyone else's fault. And so they have this view of me and who I am and how I take care of their father. He's my dad and he's their father. And at some point,
Mm.
I had to just be like, let them think whatever the fuck they want, you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
let them think it. I don't care anymore. I can't hold on to that and be my favorite version of myself.
Yep. It, I, oh man, I hear you. And
Mm-hmm.
that situation, holy shit. Um, that, I mean, that's tough, you know, because all of my experiences with narcissists, you are not, there is nothing that you are ever going to say or do to change that. So
Yep.
you got to get good with who you are
Mm-hmm.
and get solid in that, right? To say, I don't give a shit, you know. I mean, oh my God, I know this because there was a time where I had to fight that too, and everybody turned their back on me because of a story that was being told. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like, yeah, no shit, I'm on drugs. I've been telling that and screaming from the freaking rooftops that I need fucking help.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, this huge ass ugly story was created around this, and that oh God, help me, Jesus.
Yeah.
But this the storytelling too, that others will create to so they can be the victim in that.
Mm-hmm.
Holy hell. I mean, it is very real. And the lengths that people will go when they, let's say, suffer with that narcissistic personality disorder. Yeah. Woo. Holy
Yeah.
wow.
And to talk like the I think the piece of my story that helped me kind of be like, let them think it. I don't care. Doesn't mean I don't care about them, but I'm choosing to not put my energy on into dwelling on it anymore. But the piece that kind of made me shift my thinking was none of them check in on me. They call my dad. None of them check in on me, the one who's been taking care of that dad for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, if they're going to let him tell his lies and they're not even going to check in to see A, if they're true, and B, how I'm doing, because they know he's kind of a difficult human being. And again, like, I don't hate my dad. It's just like once you learn who somebody is, you kind of know how to deal with them
Yeah.
the best way you can
Yeah.
and not take it personally.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say that it's because none of them ever check in on me. How you
Yeah.
doing? You know?
Isn't that interesting, right? It's like, I mean, think about that too, like how convenient that is, right? It's like, well, I can stay over here and not help out or do anything. I'll just stay in that um, pointing the finger at you.
Mhm.
Just listen to the story and make myself okay in it instead of playing their part, helping out. I mean, I don't know. I just find it fascinating how we will allow a story to go on to make ourselves okay and comfortable.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like if the world would just stand up and we just all own our shit, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
I do want to make a clarification.
Yeah,
I didn't say that like no one checks in on me. Like, because I know it goes two ways. I know it goes both ways. And I am the sibling. I feel like I've reached out so many times
yeah,
with no response, or maybe not the response that I want. And there's only like for me, there's only so much of myself I will give you without anything in return. No, I don't like the way I said that because that's not true. I give, but maybe there's only so much effort I'm willing to make like in a
yeah,
two-person relationship,
yeah,
being that with I have three siblings, without the effort being shown back, like showing that they care about me. I think I like that better. Cause I will give without needing anything in return, right? I do this because I give homeless people money. But like I think it's because it's my siblings. I'm reaching out, I'm making this effort and I'm getting nothing back. So I'm going to stop giving you my energy. Does that make sense? I think that made
yeah.
more sense to me in my
I
head.
mean,
Yeah.
the thing of it is like I understand this situation um, more than you know, and so what I'm hearing too is we can only, so there's giving because we want to give, right? We give
Mm-hmm.
without thinking of anything in return. But when it's only us giving and we notice it, it's because we notice that we are not getting anything in return. So shouldn't we all, no matter if we're find ourselves in a situation like this, um, create healthy boundaries in that, right? If we're
Mm-hmm.
recognizing something, it's because it needs to be recognized because it's there,
Yeah.
right? So we have a
Mm-hmm.
choice, like how much of myself and my energy am I going to give, right? And if somebody only has something negative to say to me about the situation, um, where are they in this in helping in the situation?
Right.
That's what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I similar, not similar, but just, things where I've had to learn, creating my own boundaries too,
Mm-hmm.
where I understand people are not going to understand um, my journey. I wouldn't want them to. But I also see now that there is a difference between pushing your way through things and healing from them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pushed your way through some things and didn't heal, do not come to me yelling at me from your experience because what you think to believe true, right? So, and, two things in that. I've had family members that, because they've pushed through things, they think that they can come at me because we've had similar experiences. But the difference is that I've done the work, right?
Yeah.
So when I have had to retreat or take care of myself in whatever that looks like, I've gotten yelled at for not like showing up at family functions, or how come you're not this, or how come you're not that, and we need you for this, or there's been things that have come up in the past. We don't do that anymore because I said, look, I'm not going to I first of all, I don't get yelled at anymore. If you even think about yelling at me, we're done. Like that doesn't exist in my world anymore because there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that we need to be raising our voices at. Even if it would have been me in the past, I'm holding myself as just as accountable, right? Um,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to put myself in that situation anymore, right? I'm not going to give it to you. You don't give it to me. Boundaries created. Great. Um, I don't even know where all I was going with that, but I just I see this a lot in, I don't want to deal with my own stuff. So, I'm going to, kind of put my drama onto you, right? It's kind of like the same how I kind of see your situation a little bit. It's like, how can I um and it kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of how we twist things up to make it okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
This person says, "Oh, they don't get the help they need, but I don't want to help either." All right? So, I'm going to do my part by, you know, it's the, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, how do we I don't want to be helpful in that because I don't want to do it either, but I'm not going to say that. So how can I put the pressure on somebody else?
Right. Yeah, I think it's easier too when like it's easier that they're physically separated from it and so they're off living their best life
Mm,
and they're not even thinking about uh me or their father or, you know, it's been it's been me and my husband. Um, we've been together 15 years. Yeah. Friends 24 years, together 15 years. We've been married 10 years. Well, the numbers don't matter, but in all of that, we have lived together, just him and I, by ourselves for 1 year.
Wow.
Because before my dad, it was his parents. And now we have a child, so that won't happen till our kid graduates. Which that, and I'm not complaining about that. But just like I can only imagine what it's doing to him,
Mm,
you know. So
that's
he tells me, he's like, what pisses me off the most is watching how he treats you, my dad. And with my dad, nothing's his fault. And so if and when he's confronted, there's just no arguing with him. So why did I say all that? Oh, because I was talking about how it's easy to separate. It's easy because we're physically separated. They all live off in different states, California, New Mexico, and North Carolina. So it's easier to just sit back and not have to worry about it because, Katie will do it. I mean, I don't like how she treats him, but, she's got this.
wow. That you had 10 years. And I mean, I can't even imagine, your husband on the outside looking in, seeing, because he gets to see that from his perspective on how your dad treats you.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. But I mean, I shouldn't assume, but well, I guess I do assume that where you are now in your own growth of things, that you and your husband have like can have conversations about this. It's not
Mm.
right. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a difference when we do our work, right? We are able to communicate and exchange because we can hear right in a totally different way.
Yeah.
Um, so that right there, I mean, is huge. I mean, that's what a blessing, you know.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, Not a lot of people have that.
I'm lucky.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful thing. Especially, so I hear that what is it? We marry or the what is that? Like we marry our dads or the guys marry their moms and
Yeah.
we what do you
Yeah.
think about
My
that?
first husband was narcissistic,
Aha.
abusive, drug addict. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know what that was. Um this is so funny. So I was in recovery and I'm blah 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 telling all my stories, and there was this lady and she kept leaning over to me every time I would tell these stories about my I was still married at the time, so I would tell stories and she'd lean over and say gaslighting, gaslighting. And at first, I thought she was totally out of her tree. Like I had no idea, like, why does this lady keep leaning over to me and saying gaslighting? What the hell does that even? Because I didn't even know what that meant. So can you
Right.
imagine? I'm like,
Like, I'm
what
not at a gas station.
does this mean? And so the more understanding and awareness I had, and like just the education around that, wow. But
Mm-hmm.
then, but then, like the more I started the work and the healing, then it brought me all the way back. And I went, oh, wait, who is my dad? You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
wow. And yeah, there's a lot to be said there. What
Yeah.
are you gonna do?
Well, I want to respect your time. We've been at it for an hour and 8 minutes.
Wow.
I know. I feel like we
I
just
have an
started.
appointment at 12:30. Oh my God.
Oh, well, let's can I ask you one more question?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoa.
If you had one piece of advice you could give to the world, what would it be?
Pay attention to your calendar.
Pay attention to your calendar. Boom.
No, that we are all in need of some help, and it's okay, because even if we are at our what we think is at our best, we have so much more as soon as we do that inside work, and we're all allowed it, and we deserve it.
Beautiful beasts. Jessica Summers signing off. Until next time. Palaka. Okay, bye.